everybody, and welcome to Level Not Quick Save. I am your host, James Galzidi. You can find me at all different platforms at Jimmy Noodles GG or Jimmy Noodles Gaming on YouTube. We got a big show for you tonight, so let's get right into it. The first thing on the docket today is the Nintendo Indy World Showcase, where they showed off a whole bunch of different indie games and that kind of fun stuff for coming out within the next year or two for the Nintendo Switch. So the first thing that we had was Road 86. Now, you may remember this. This was showed off. Oh, God, I forget where it was originally showed off. I think it might have been one of the Summer Games Fest videos, I think. Or one of the Summer Games Fest things. But this is a procedurally generated hitchhiking game that's inspired by road movies of the 1990s. So pretty much what you do is it's a first person, you're walking around. It's all different every time you play. There's actually, what they said, 148,268 different routes. You walk along, hey, there might be this time there's a kid that's on the phone booth, at a phone booth, or hey, there's a trucker that's, that you can get into the cab with. And pretty much that's what it is. You just it's a road trip game. It seems pretty interesting, and yeah, I'm gonna definitely check that out. That's coming out later this year. Next we have Ariel Knights Never Yield. So this is a narrative runner with a nice little cool comic book style, with a very funky hip-hop soundtrack by, I do believe, Too Mellow. I think he's the one that did the music for it. It's Japanese, like neo-Japanese style Detroit look to it. So very futuristic, very neon, very colorful. It looks fantastic. And that's coming out now. It's actually out right now. And there's also a demo available too. So if you're not 100% sure on it, be a perfect chance to take a look at it. I think it's made by one guy or a very small team out in Detroit, which is really cool. You don't really see that ever, and I'm a sucker for games that are made by not only a small team, but a small team not in like Los Angeles or Japan or Poland, or like Sweden, like the Arctic Circles, Finland. I want like these voices, especially in the US, like these voices from these smaller, lesser known areas for game design. So that's really cool to see. The next thing that they had was Last Stop. It's an Annapurna interactive published game. It's about 3 entangled stories. Very narrative driven, it looks like. Like one of the persons, like it kind of got what's that movie where the two people switch? Alright, so Face Off, how John Travolta and Nick Cage, they swap faces, which in turn swaps them. It's kind of like that. Like one of the stories is apparently like that. Or fuck, what's that movie where the dude and this older dude and like this teenage girl swap bodies? But there's one of the stories is like that, and that's coming out this July. Hindsight is another Annapurna interactive game. Not much is known about it. That's coming out later this year. Next game is Ollie Ollie World from Roll7, the crew that made Ollie Ollie 1 and 2. It's kind of like it's an action platformer, as they called, but instead of like running, you're skateboarding. And it's a road trip game, as they described it, with multiple different paths, different side quests, sick rails to grind, all that cool stuff. So that's coming out this winter. The Longing is a game where you play as a servant, and you have to wait 400 days. You get to pass the time in real time. So, yeah, you just kind of hang out for 400 days. How many hours is that? So 400 days, that's like a year and a half right there. So you're going to be technically playing this game for a year and a half. And yeah, really all you do is just waste time for those 400 days for the thing to happen. And that's out today. There is no game. Wrong Dimension is the next game on the list. It's a point-and-click adventure with a bunch of mini-games that is out now. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge is a side-scrolling beat-em-up that is inspired by Turtles in Time, one of my favorite games of all time, and definitely up there with one of the best beat-em-ups and Super Nintendo games of all time. Really beautiful pixel art, 4-player multiplayer, that's coming out later this year. Chris Tales is the next game. It is a traditional turn-based JRPG with a little bit of a twist. So, it's got time travel. And one of the things that you can do when this time travel gameplay is you can use that as your attacks. So, one of the things that they described is you can use your time travel ability to make an enemy younger so they're easier to take down. And I think that's a cool little twist right there. Cool little neat twist on the traditional RPG formula. And that is coming out July 20th. Getsu Fuma Den, Undying Moon, is a Konami game. Holy shit! I didn't think Konami made games anymore. But this is a game from Konami. It's a hack and slash roguelite. Nothing really crazy about it. And that's coming out next year. Aztec Forgotten Gods is an action-adventure game made by a smaller team in Mexico City, which is cool. Again, going back to the smaller game devs from different areas to kind of, see a different perspective on things. But yeah, you fight Aztec gods in a very modern city. Think of it as if the Aztecs didn't disappear. Like the Aztecs were still around. It was still a thriving culture. That's kind of like what the city looks like. A mixture of old and new. And that's coming out this fall. Skull, the hero platformer, is an the Hero Slayer is an action platformer roguelite with a quote cliche fantasy story. Now, what's different about this game is that it has multiple abilities, and the way to obtain these abilities is that you collect heads. You collect different heads, and you slap them on your body, and you get different attacks and different abilities. There's actually going to be over 90 different heads, which is insane. That's coming out this summer. And then we are on to the lightning round, my favorite part of the Nintendo Directs and Nintendo Indy World. Let's just go at it. We got Art of Rally coming out this summer, Kiwi coming out in August, Labyrinth City, Pierre the Maze Detective coming out in spring, Waving Tides coming out in May, House of the Dead Remake coming out later this year, Ender Lilies, Quintus of the Night coming out June 21st, Beast of Maravella Island coming out in June, and Fez coming out today. And there's also going to be an Indie World flash sale going on until the 25th of this month. So that's it for the Nintendo Indie World, or so we thought. They had one surprise left. There was a little game called Oxenfree. Oxenfree 2, Lost Signals. I've never played the original Oxenfree. I honestly didn't see shit on it, so I'm very unfamiliar with it. That is coming out in 2021, so sometime this year we'll probably hear more around E3 time. Same with a lot of these other games. Let's talk about the next big, probably the thing that excited me the most, the next big showcase that they had this week. The Resident Evil Showcase. Alright, so let's take a look at the Resident Evil Showcase. A lot of cool things they announced. A lot of things that got me super excited, as you can kind of hear in my voice, um, about all the different Resident Evil stuff coming out. So, and the thing that makes me most excited is is I can bring back world premiere. Ah, yes, I've been waiting for it. It's like this isn't the first time this year, but it feels like the first time this year that I've been able to say that. So this is a world premiere for Resident Evil Village. Basically, just some more stuff going on in the game. Ethan's looking for Rose, which is the little babby, him and Mia's daughter. Everyone in the village is dead except for a small little group of people. There's an Umbrella logo, so Umbrella has something to do with this. And apparently Chris killed Mia, Ethan's wife, girlfriend, I forget what it was, from Resident Evil 7. So, whew. We also got some things on the new Resident Evil Village demos. This is another world premiere. The demo is going to be available on PS5, PS4, Xbox Series S and X, Xbone, Steam, and Google Stadia. They're going to be limited time demos. You have 60 minutes that you can spend in this. So kind of like the demos for, I think they did that with RE3. I know they did it with RE2. I think they did it with RE3 Remake as well. But you get 60 minutes. You can explore the village and the castle. Have fun. There you go. So these time ones are going from here they are. So in North America, May 1st at 5 p.m. May 1st at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard, or PDT, which is Pacific, right? I think it is. To May 2nd at 5 p.m. PDT. In Europe, we have it from May 2nd to May 3rd, both at 2 a.m. CEST. I think that's like, what, Central Europe Standard Time, maybe? I don't live there. Asia will have it May 2nd and 3rd, 8 a.m. HKT. Maybe Hong Kong time? I don't know. Yeah, you can explore both the village and the castle. PS4 and 5 players get early access called 8 Hours in the Village. Now, 8 Hours in the Village, you get 30 minutes where it's, hey, first one, you play in the village. The second one, you play in the castle. And then by May 1st, you'll have, boom, the main one. Or, yeah, the big boy. So, the first one, let me take a look, because I didn't actually I didn't check to see when that is actually going on. But I can say, that it is really cool. It's really good. I can't wait. Oh no, not Resident Evil 7. I need Resident Evil Village. Village 8-hour demo. Alright. How to play the Resident Evil Village demo. Alrighty. It's a TLDR. Oh, I guess Resident Evil 7 might have done that as well. Okay. PS4 and PS5 owners demo limited to 30 minutes per session. The village section will go live from April 18th to 19th, which is already gone. The castle section will go live from April 25th to April 26th, where players can access the demo at any time between those times, but once the 30 minutes are over, they will be booted from the demo. So, hey, that's cool. I can't wait to play the castle demo now. But they also said that this is the 8th installment in the series, so just fucking call it Resident Evil 8, you goddamn cowards. Oh, and we also learned the correct pronunciation of the big-titted goth vampire mommy GF. It is Lady Dimitris. I don't know. It's French. French is weird. I took way too much French in high school. So I feel like I should know how it's said, but you know what? That was way too long ago. I don't want to think about it. Here's another world premiere. All right, hey, one of my favorite game modes from the Resident Evil games was the Mercenaries mode. It's fast, arcadey action, great way to, just have some fun playing Resident Evil when you just wanted to pick up and play, didn't want to go through the story, you just wanted to bust some zombies' heads. It's been going on for a long time, I think since 3. Well, it's back! Mercenaries mode is back in Resident Evil Village. Same shit. Awesome action. You get added shop. You can buy different weapons from the shop. You got weapon customization. You also got perks, because every game needs perks. Now it just needs a battle pass, and then it'll just be Fortnite. Then they had a 25th anniversary thing. It's the 25th anniversary of the series, which, holy shit, a lot of things are celebrating anniversaries this year. We have the Pokemon anniversary. I think that's the 25th anniversary. We have the Legend of Zelda, I think, 35th anniversary going on this year, and the Resident Evil 25th anniversary. So some great series going on here. All released right around this. Oh, all have the same anniversary date. That's cool. Basically, the 25th anniversary thing was a member of the PlayStation brand talking about how much they love the series. Nothing too crazy there. Still waiting for my call, Capcom. Still waiting for my call to be a part of that. I will talk so highly of your games, except for Resident Evil 6. And those weird periods where, you had Operation Raccoon City. And that other one. God, those games were fucking terrible. Oh, and Dead Aim wasn't good either. Dead Aim was trash. But, oh well. You can't be all winners. Hey, let's talk about the next world premiere. Alright, this is about Resident Evil Infinite Darkness. This is the Netflix series that is coming. It takes place 2 years after Resident Evil 4, where you got Leon hanging out with Ashley's father. So we actually get to meet him. And then you got Claire hanging out. Yeah. That's about the zombies running around DC. You gotta be careful. So, that's cool. No real thing about it yet. Like a release date, I don't think. But we do know that the filming of the live-action reboot has been completed. Now they're just on to post-production and CG. So that's pretty neat. Then they have another world premiere. Dead by Daylight is having a special event with Resident Evil to celebrate the 25th anniversary. That's coming June. You get an Umbrella Charm. We will learn more about it on May 25th. For the full reveal, I'm assuming either Nemesis or Mr. X are going to be... I mean, it would be really cool if it was Tyrant. But I'm thinking either because of the timing, either Nemesis or Mr. X are going to be the playable baddie for the game. And also probably play as Leon, maybe Jill Valentine, Chris Redfield, one of those three. I have a feeling about. And then finally, the last thing on the list is another world premiere. Alright, long story short, I'm going to have to get an Oculus Quest 2 because Resident Evil 4 is coming to VR, and I have to play every single version of Resident Evil 4 known to man. I am legally obligated at this point to beat every single version of Resident Evil 4. I need to get an iPod Touch and sideload Resident Evil 4 on it so I can beat that version too. Yeah, hey, more ways to play Resident Evil 4. This time it's actually a little different. I didn't watch the full event that happened on the 21st. Sorry, I was busy not feeling well due to a little shot that I got that I'll talk about on the main cast. Okay. So those are the two little world premiere, two little showcases. Let's talk about. Actually, there's one thing on here. There's one thing on here that I didn't put that I found out about. Oh no, that I found out about last night. Hey, Apogee Software is back. So Apogee, the company that published the original Duke Nukems, Commander Keen, all that kind of stuff. The pioneers of shareware back in the early days of computer video gaming is back. I have no emotional attachment to Apogee, but hey, it's good to see them back. I'm glad. The last two things I have for the news. You remember when I think we talked about it last week, that Sony was going to shut down the PS3, PS Vita, and PSP stores, which led to a whole bunch of people getting pissed off and upset. And especially with the PS3 and Vita, there's so many downloadable games that were never available physically, and there's no way of preserving them, at least not yet, or they didn't have time to preserve them. Well, here is from the PlayStation blog, from Jim Ryan, the president and CEO of Sony Interactive Entertainment, says, PlayStation Store on PS3 and PS Vita will continue operations. He said, I'll just read the entire post because it's not too long. Players will be able to continue to purchase games on the PS3 and PS Vita. Recently, we've notified that PlayStation Store for PS3 and PS Vita devices was planned to end this summer. Upon further reflection, however, it is clear we have made the wrong decision here. So today I'm happy to say that we'll be keeping the PlayStation Store operational for PS3 and PS Vita devices. PSP functionality will retire on July 2nd, 2021 as planned. We initially came to the decision to end purchasing support for the PS3 and PS Vita. It was born out of a number of factors, including commerce support challenges for older devices and the ability for us to focus on more of our resources on newer devices where a majority of our gamers are playing on. We see now that many of you are incredibly passionate about being able to continue purchasing classic games on the PS3 and PS Vita for the foreseeable future. So I'm glad we were able to find a solution to continue operations. I'm glad that we can keep this piece of history alive for gamers to enjoy while we continue to create cutting-edge new game worlds for PS4, PS5, and the next generation of VR. Thank you for sharing your feedback with us. We're always listening and appreciate the support from our PlayStation community. Sony finally listened to its fans! My God, it's like pulling teeth with that company. And this is coming from a man who's a Sony fanboy. This is a man that got filled with so much Sony propaganda for 3 goddamn years, he can never go with any other TV brand in his life. So yeah, hey, Sony did a good. Sony, that's probably what I'm going to put on here. Sony did a good. Speaking of Sony, the last thing that we have on the docket is from Video Game Chronicles. Alright, so let's chat here for a second, everyone, listeners. I was going to say viewers, but you're not viewing this. It'd be weird if you were. Have you ever played a video game? And it could be any kind of video game. Maybe it's a 2D platformer, first-person shooter, RPG, where you just can't get through it. You just can't get... There's this one part that's just so hard, you just keep failing every single time. Whenever you try. Maybe it's a jump, maybe it's a little horde of enemies, maybe it's a little boss rush. You just cannot get through this part. Now, many of you, the ones that were lucky, usually had an older brother or sister that you could just be like, play the game for me. And the brother or sister's like, fine, twerp, I got it. And then they beat it. Or maybe, hey, Dad, could you beat this part for me? And he's like, sure. I didn't have that, so I just kind of had to nose to the grindstone and get through it. Man, that changed my childhood. I learned perseverance. But anyway, imagine if you can have that whenever, even at, like me, the ripe old age of 26, and I don't have anyone that I could just throw my controller at and be like, beat this for me. It's kind of a lie, but you see where I'm getting at here. Well, Sony has patented an artificial intelligence that will play their games for you. So let's go look through here. So this is apparently spotted originally by SegmentNet or Segment Next, which describes the feature as an quote automated artificial intelligence control mode for playing specific tasks during gaming applications. According to the patent, the method involves assigning a default AI profile to a player, which starts off with a generic set of behaviors. As the player plays a game multiple times, the AI will study their behavior and apply it to the AI profile, meaning over time it will start to make similar decisions to the player. The idea is to eventually end up with an AI profile that plays similarly to the player, who will have the option to let the AI take over and play the games on their behalf. Now, that's cool and all, but let's take a look at some of the different uses. So, a given example is a player asking the AI profile to, quote, proceed in automatic mode to complete specific game tasks that are difficult for the user. So again, say there's a jump that you can't get, or there's a boss rush, or there's a horde of like zombies or enemies that you just can't take out. This can help you do that. The patent also points out that games may be able to flag if a player needs help to beat a task. Quote, if the AI character has completed specific tasks, those tasks can be identified as being completed by the user with assistance from the AI game controller, it explains. Another given example is online multiplayer co-op games, where a player might need to leave the game to eat or work. In this situation, instead of having the game end, the player can turn to the automatic mode and have the AI player with their friends, or the AI play with their friends in their absence until they can return to take over again. So again, that's pretty cool. This goes on to say that Sony established a new organization in late 2019 to advance research and development of AI. With offices in Japan, Europe, and US, Sony AI was created to, quote, drive the research and development of AI in both physical and virtual spaces through multiple world-class flagship projects, end quote. And it launched with 3 projects in gaming, imaging and sensing, and gastronomy. Gastronomy, yeah. Shit. So, yeah, that's pretty cool. I was really waiting for... I'm surprised, honestly surprised, that Sony is the first to at least make this public. Well, not necessarily even public, but the first one to do the patent or do something like this when Microsoft already has like their Azure platform, like their Azure AI platforms, and they're working heavily with AI as well. It's interesting to see Sony doing this instead. Well, I guess Azure is their cloud platform, but they have their own AI stuff that they're doing. And I guess Sony does that too. I mean, they've had the that little doggo thing that is an AI like pet. But no, it's really Aibo is what it's called, Aibo. So, I mean, hey, that's pretty cool. It seems like the machine learning and that kind of stuff finally coming into video games might be a reality here coming up in the next few years. Maybe we'll probably see that late this gen, early next gen, I would think. If there are generations after this. Because who knows? We won't. Alrighty, so that, let me just double check my notes. That is all that I have for today. Thank you all so very much for listening. Listen to me ramble and get excited about good old Resi and Nintendo indie stuff and PlayStation stuff. It was kind of a podcast made for me. Podcast episode made specifically for me. It was great. But again, thank you all so much for listening. Don't forget to, I don't know, what do people say for these podcasts? Like, there's like a like button, I think, maybe on these podcasts. I don't know. Leave a comment, I guess. It helps boost the ratings. Also, don't forget to check us out at the internet. Instagram, Facebook at Level Unlocked Podcast, Twitter at LVL Unlocked Pod. That's LVL Unlocked Pod. Also, don't forget to, if you enjoy this, check out our Patreon. We do different things, mainly I write stuff. I type out some stuff. Little interesting things like, I forget what I did. I did a thing where I listed off the top 10 games that I'm excited for that are still to come this year, that were at least announced. So, hey, that's cool. You can read that. All you need is, I think, the dollar patrons. No, there's 3 tiers. There's the dollar, there's $5, there's $10. You all get different kind of rewards, that kind of stuff. So, that's cool and all. But, anyway, again, thank you all so much for watching. Oh, and if you have any questions, don't forget to email us, levelunlockpodcast@gmail.com. And we will see you next week for the main show. Have a good night.